This is Spare Time Repair, and this is a pop-up pirate. It's also my first video in quite some time, so if you're interested in hearing why that is and why my setup suddenly looks different, then keep listening. If not, and you just want to watch the repair, skip forward to this time. So it's been quite a few weeks since I made a video, and the reason for that is that I've moved. But I haven't just moved house, I've moved from the UK to the USA. Long story short, my fiance is American. We're actually getting married tomorrow. We've been waiting for well over a year for a visa for me to come here. That finally came through in September, but obviously I had to do a lot of preparation for that, packing up all my gear for shipping over here. So I eventually came over in October. I've been here just over 6 weeks, but my stuff, all my video making equipment, my camera, microphone, tools, all of that is still in the UK for reasons best known to my moving company. So it's all been very frustrating. I've been waiting, not getting any updates, and it looks like even when it does leave the UK, it's going to be 2-3 months before I get anything. I'm looking at probably February before I have all the stuff I need. So in the meantime, I've put together a pretty basic setup. I'm recording this on my phone. I have got a new computer so I can edit stuff. But I want to keep making videos and I'm going to try to do that. Hopefully you can bear with me while I sort out those issues. Anyway, this is a pop-up pirate. It's a simple kids game. I used to have one when I was a kid. This is not the original one. My fiance had one too, so I bought her this one as a sort of nostalgic thing. But she informed me the other day that although she's had it for 2 years, it's never actually worked. And the idea is that you push down the pirate into the barrel and then you take it in turns. It's a 2-player game. You insert these sort of daggers into the slots here, and one of them will make the pirate pop up, and the slot that operates that mechanism is randomized by turning the pirate while he's in place. As you can see, it's doing something because it's firing out all the daggers, but even when they're all in, he just stays put. So something's not right. Also, these, I'm sure the one I used to have had better daggers. They used to stay in better, but these are sort of loose. They fall out easily. One's just gone on the floor, actually. So we need to get inside this thing. And it'll actually be quite interesting to see how it works. Like how the active slot is being randomized by turning the pirate round. He won't actually, oh, I was about to say he won't come out. He does actually come out. That goes down, but then he won't come up again. There's 2 sort of little keyed bits in here. That means that he can spin around when he's down, and that'll turn the whole thing. But there are no screws, so it's obviously just been glued together on this seam here. So I need to try to pry it apart without causing too much damage. I really am struggling for tools. This is about all I've got in the way of screwdrivers. And this bit set here. So this is the smallest one. Let's see if we can, with any luck, it will be clipped rather than glued. Yeah, I'm already causing some minor damage by prying it. They wouldn't glue it, would they? Problem is that this sort of plastic is not very forgiving of any stress, so the smallest amount of prying and it's going lightens quite considerably. So you can see there where I've pried it. But I can't see any other way of getting into it. It's copyright 1979. So this would have been quite new when I was a kid. I think it's been glued. I've just tried putting these two in here and trying to pry it apart like this, but there's absolutely no give in it at all. Just trying to look through the slits to try to figure out what's going on in here. So it looks like there's a pad that pokes out near the edge, and that's what rotates when you turn it. And I've just got it lined up with this slot here. I still can't trigger it. I'm pretty sure now that this is glued. And if this is polystyrene, which it does appear to be, then there's just no way it's coming apart. You'll know if you've made model aeroplanes or anything. Once that stuff is stuck together, then the only way to get it apart again is to break it. So the only way I can think of getting inside, because I can see through this. I can't show you because it's so difficult to get the camera in there, but it's like a thin black plastic, basically the width of this, running all the way down, with an arm that pokes out, which is what these press against to operate it. So the actual footprint of it is like this. So if I can cut a wider circle on the bottom, then I could lift the whole thing out, and then you could repair it and it wouldn't be visible when it's upright. That's the only way I can think of to get inside, but I'm going to need my fiance's permission to do that because it's not mine. Right, this is what appears to be going on inside based on what I can see through the slots. So the pirate sits in his little recess here, and going right down the middle is this sort of tubular mechanism, and that sits in a cup at the bottom so that it can rotate, and coming out of that is an arm with a sort of target pad on it, and there's a metal leaf spring on that so that it can go back and forth. And so you put the pirate down, you spin him round, and this whole thing revolves. Now inside here there's a spring, and this arm is connected to a lever so that when it's pushed, this goes outwards because it pivots here somewhere. That releases the catch and the pirate pops up. So I'm not quite sure, because you've got slots on the top here and slots on the bottom. So I'm not sure how this is triggered by the bottom slots, whether putting the daggers against this part triggers it as well. If so, why is there this big target pad at the top here? So the plan is to cut a hole wider than this base piece here, all around the bottom, and then this whole mechanism here should drop out. Okay, it's a few days later and I now have permission from my wife, for she is now my wife, to proceed with the repair via whatever means necessary. So what I'm going to do is draw a circle, then I'm just going to use a small drill bit to just drill many holes around the circle and then just punch it out. A compass is one thing that I don't have at the moment. Oh my god, that's hopeless. I might just do this off camera. Okay, I think that's pretty good, and you can see if I shine this light underneath that it is wider than the footprint of the mechanism. So now I just need to drill lots and lots of holes. It's just occurred to me that you can't really see what I'm doing while I'm at this angle, so I think I'll come back when it's done. Right, that was actually pretty easy. This material is incredibly thin. So I think I can do the rest with this utility knife. There we go. Well, I haven't made the hole big enough to actually get the whole thing out. I may have to cut away a bit more of this material. Just confirmation that it was glued. I don't know if you can see that massive globule of glue there. There's a lot of glue in there. I think this really was the only way in. I have enlarged the hole, but it's still not big enough. I don't want to cut away too much material because what I want to do is put a new circular piece that will stick this and this together and provide rigidity again. So I want to leave at least some sort of seam around the edge. Right, we're finally out, and as you can see it was a fairly large hole in the end. About 60 millimeters in diameter, or maybe 2¼ inches if you're that way inclined, as I should be now I'm in the US, and that will just give you enough room to get this out. This mechanism is fairly simple. There's two parts to it. It took me a minute to figure this out. So this part springs back and forth, and there's a tab here that stops this target pad being pressed. So the plunger goes down, and then what happens is there's a little tab in here which is activated when the pirate is in position. That moves this out of the way, and then this lever can be pressed. But if the pirate's not in position, this tab stops it from being pressed. So the pirate sort of locks in position, and then you can turn the whole thing around, which is how you randomize it. Ah, now it's not working. So why is that? So it's working there. But then when I turned it slightly, in some positions it doesn't work. See, I thought it wasn't letting this out of the way far enough to allow this to travel down, but it is. I wonder if the pirate itself is malformed. See, that doesn't look great. It seems to work every time when the pirate's not in place. No, it doesn't. Do you know what? After all of that, I think it's just that the pirate's getting stuck in the hole. If he's wedged in a certain way, that means he can't escape freely. Like if I put my finger on the end of the mechanism, then it's not going to pop up. It's not enough force to force him up if he's wedged. See, there feels quite good, so I expect him to pop out now. But there, he's wedged. I can feel it. Yeah. So I think all we need to do is sand the base of the pirate a bit smoother, and then he should slide in and out. I found some sandpaper in the garage, so let's give this a go. I've actually realised what the problem is. It's this inner circle here. Do you see on this side it doesn't project any further, but on this side it's not centered. So this wall here is thicker than this wall, and that's why it's getting wedged in place. On this side he will pop, but if I turn it around so the thicker wall is where the this trigger is, then it's not going to pop because it's wedged in there. So sanding it isn't going to make any difference. This is going to be glued together as well, isn't it? I wonder if I can shift it over. Right, I just used this screwdriver down here and pressed quite hard, and it has forced it down a bit and sort of under this lip. Well, he's not getting stuck anymore, but it's also not engaging the plunger every time. Because this is keyed to allow it to turn this spindle to make it random. Perhaps he only pops down when he's in a certain orientation. See, when he's in this orientation, where you haven't got this cut out, he's not going to be able to go down far enough. But when he's in this orientation, or this would work as well, but this would not. So I think that's just how it always was. So I think I'm happy to say this is now fixed. I did needlessly scuff up the bottom. Let's see if we can fix that with a bit of oil. I'm just going to try a bit of chapstick and see if that will hide it. That doesn't look too bad. And smells nicely of vanilla. Now we just need to reassemble. You can see how much extra material I had to remove in order to get the mechanism out. Well, I've just been all through the kitchen trying to find something the right size because I don't have a compass, and this cup is just about perfect. So I'm just going to use this piece of card from the back of an old notebook. Doesn't have to be perfect because no one's ever going to see it. I didn't realise that E6000 is actually contact adhesive, so that should work fine. And I found this ice cream tub lid that I can use instead of the cardboard. It's quite thin, but I think it's rigid enough. Right, I found the centre of the piece of plastic and I've aligned it with that and made a registration mark so I can easily set it down in the right place. So this stuff you're supposed to apply to both surfaces. Might as well apply it to here while I'm waiting. And this outer ring as well. Okay, 2 minutes have passed. Now I can line this up. Ooh, yeah, that's got a good hold. I suppose for extra strength I should put something, because there's a gap now between here and the edge of the barrel. So this is going to flex downwards. So I need to put something on here to take up that gap so that it's pressing against the desk when I turn it the other way around. I couldn't find anything, so for now I'm just going to use a few pieces of cardboard to level it out. I mean, now we know how it works. I think it's always going to be to the side of him. Doesn't matter how much you rotate him, that mechanism was always going to be on one side or the other. So it's either going to be this one or this one. Yeah. So maybe that takes the fun out of the game. So yeah, I think every time it's going to be this one. Unless you put him down facing the other way, in which case it's going to be this one. Well, if nothing else, we've learned how to cheat at Pop-Up Pirate. So I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one.